the full power of that. But we'll maybe in the future. Probably not this game though. As we're moving in to Champ Select, again, probably get expect to see like the Melio, the Lucian, the Nico bans. You were talking about the Maokai basically being must ban on red side. Has made it through one game now.
Yeah,
I was trying to think about it in the first game as well.
Yeah, sorry. I think people think they can answer the Maokai, which is fine. He's just a very good teamfight tank. You know, in a meta of we want a front line and we have a back line, Maokai's pretty good at like zone control and peeling and stuff like this. The go-to red side bans are the Zeri, the Melio 100% of the time, almost 100% of the time. You could even throw Nico in there because she's so broken. One player I wanted to highlight as well is Liam Cole, one of the funniest names I've ever seen. He just sounds like a footballer, but he played really well yesterday. He had a really good Aphelios, if my memory serves me right. If it wasn't Aphelios, it was another AD carry, and he played. I remember him playing extremely well. And Katano, again, shout out to him, because I feel like we didn't highlight Vanir enough. But let's see what direction Forthwall wants to take. Champions that are up right now that spring to mind are Lucian and Nami are still up. Right, if Melio gets banned here, then Lucian and Nami look like the go-to, potentially a Lucian first pick. Nico, as a first pick, is also still up. So that's what I imagine are the game of the angles. Yeah, there's the Melio.
Alrighty, well, let's see what the first pick is going to be then. Jinx is up. Oh, the Nico's up. We get it. Finally. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Right, so with Nico, if you take a look at solo queue stats, and they don't tell you everything, but they tell you in general how well matchups go. Okay, in lane. And the best counters in theory are stuff like Aurelia, Tristana. I think Syndra's okay.
I mean, if you're looking at mid lane, matchups, Tristana's typically always has a good matchup here. I swear, every time you check.
Yeah, but teams like, for example, in the LEC, Leader on Astralis will definitely be picking Aurelia into the blind Nikos. 100%. Yeah, I think it's... Is this locked? I can't tell.
No, it's still hovering. Don't worry.
Okay, but no,
still
the Aphelios standard. The Aphelios standard lock in here. I imagine Lulu's going to get locked in as well. That's very, very common. Pairing is just very good. Right, they're just go-to meta compositions. Annie could also work as a flex mid. You imagine you pair off with the Annie with something like a Wukong. That's a very typical pairing too. It's all about pairings in the meta because you just want the best team fight possible, and these champions just give so much setup.
Alrighty, well, moving on to the last two pickups in this first phase here for the side of Forthwall. Trying to figure out what their game plan is going to be. Obviously, things like the Jinx, they could just Jinx Lulu here, just to play this safe. Does mean the jungle pool's going to get pinched in the ban phase, but I feel like denying Lulu from the Aphelios in this rotation, yeah, the Annie's a flex pick, but it does deny the potential for that flex just to happen, and then the Lulu to come in. See if they do decide to go for that, or put their attention a little bit more towards that jungle role. I feel like Lulu, though, I mean, we saw the value with Lulu in those previous games. No, deciding away from it, deciding for the Jarvan actually offers them a little bit more.
Yeah, so they actually lost to Jarvan yesterday. Maybe that's flipped their opinion on it. They think that it's very good into the immobile AD carry and the mid lane, potentially playing with that Jarvan and Nico ult setup combo. You know, it's pretty nuts. They have a lot of setup mid lane potential to make these plays. Does look like Thresh, the very standard pick as well, is going to be picked. You can Aphelios, get the Aphelios out of the wall for the Jarvan too. I like it a lot. It's just really good pairing. Now, for bans, you can imagine that Forthwall are going to pinch jungle here. Continuously pinch jungle more. What picks are up for jungle? Well, the go-to ones with Annie are Wukong. That's definitely what you want to go for. And then you would ban counter picks to Thresh. Stuff like the Nautilus makes a lot of sense. That is one of the go-to ones. You just hook the Thresh. You know, there's not much you can do. But yeah, I imagine junglers would pick Wukong alongside... It's really hard to say. I'm not too sure what else there is aside from the Wukong. You've got Viego. Viego works really well with Annie. And those are the only ones I could think of. Also, Kha'Zix has been dabbled here and there, Lee Sin potentially as well.
Alrighty, well, last couple of bans. Just having a look at what they're looking at. More support attention coming down here. I'm amazed that the Lulu hasn't been banned yet. I feel the Naut is an interesting one. I think they've already got a fair amount of engage with the Jarvan, and they're just worried that there could be more follow-up. The Blitz,
of course.
Pretty standard pan, actually, against the Thresh. It's a pretty normal matchup here. Now looking towards the final ban here from the side of Forthwall, they actually were pinching the top lane, / I guess jungle with Olaf, but he's technically top.
Kled?
The Kled is the final ban here.
Yeah, willingly opting into giving away the Wukong, which is surprising. Wukong's pretty meta right now. Surprisingly enough, if you take a look at the global stats, Wukong is actually... If you look at the very best regions, so LPL, LEC, LCK, so these not all these regions are playing right now, mainly LPL, LCK, Wukong actually has like a 34% win rate, right? Which is very bizarre, but I'm gonna chalk it off as to like poor play and stuff like this. I think the champion's still incredibly good. You have the setup with the Annie, and what I want to watch now is how well they layer that CC. Now, what are they going to match into this? There's no way that this Jarvan was actually a flex. I refuse to believe it, and they're probably just going to pick their support here. Now, what do they pick? I think that's really hard to tell.
She doesn't go here anymore.
Tom Kench. I think Tom Kench is a very big show.
Doesn't go here anymore. There it is.
Rakan too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised. Tom Kench also works into the single target pick comp. You could peel pretty well into this as well. But it does look like they're just going to opt into the Rakan, give Chimera some more agency. And Chimera's going to hover his famous Anivia, but we'll have to see what Coach Gary Snail, sorry, I just saw that name, it decides to pick.
Yeah, I don't expect to see the... don't expect to see that as the final pick. Yeah, it does look like a more standard kind of frontliney pick is going to be the final lock-in here for Molto. Locking in the Ornn here. Now looking over to the side of Vanir as their final rotation. They will be looking towards a jungler.
It's probably going to be a Gwen.
Yeah, oh, sorry. No, they've got a jungler. Yes.
Or Darius. That would be very interesting. So the thing is, Darius thrives when there's like a lack of DPS in the top side as well, right? Because Darius can do a bunch of different things. I think he could potentially 1v2 like this lane as well. So Darius is a very good anti-tank champion, but you need to be a Darius player. Right, Darius is commonly only picked by players such as Adam in the LEC. I think Gwen could have also been extremely good here. You get a bit more AP, and Gwen is much better at team fighting, in my opinion. I think Gwen is phenomenal at team fighting, which is why she's the go-to anti-tank. She wins lane and team fights extremely well, which is important. But again, maybe Katana is a Darius player. He plays Kled, so it's kind of in line with that.
Some spicy picks, some spicy picks around this one out. I thought we were done with them, but they are going to get a Darius snuck in for game number 3. Although I've been very critical of some of our spicy picks in the previous games because I feel like it's all about the resources and teams kind of being a little bit too greedy. I think now on both sides, these teams have actually they've got a very aligned team, or at least in the sense where like every lane has a role and they're not overstepping their mark and stepping into someone else's territory. I'm curious what your thoughts are on how this game is going to play out and what our expectations going into game number 3 are going to look like.
I actually think this is two very well balanced drafts. You have the standard mid jungle pairing of Wukong, Annie, and it will be very much who engages first, right? I want to see some Nico shenanigans early, right? Just like we saw yesterday. But both of these compositions are very teamfight focused. You have a lot of big ultimates like Jarvan, Annie, Wukong, Ornn, and CC layering and how well you buy space for your carries as well is going to be extremely important.
Absolutely, pretty standard team fighting stuff then. Make sure that you don't just throw all your stuff at one person and then run out of CC. More traditional League. Oh, we haven't had that yet. It feels weird to say that.
Actual front to back.
Today, we haven't actually had traditional League of Legends. It's been manic chaos. And, these teams could still catch us off. They could still go for a very chaotic game and a very manic play style. But the teams, at least, don't lean in that way to scaling 80 carries in the bot lane. We see a lot of attention actually thrown down towards the bottom side of the map. So I'm curious to see whether or not the junglers decide that bot is actually the place where we want to be putting attention still, or if there's other lanes in which they might see, maybe this Annie Nico lane is more gankable or not. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, bot lane's the main character of the game, right? Like, it's just straight up as the main characters of the game, but the mid lane does matter. Like, that does matter. Yesterday, what we saw was Nico getting punished by paying attention to Nico early. I can't remember. I think it was actually Omen on a Nico. Despite solo killing, he got repeat ganked by a Jarvan and a support as well. What I actually want to see is yesterday, 4th wall was really disrespectful. Okay, 4th wall, it was like they didn't have comms, and they were disrespecting support rooms constantly, despite winning bot lane. And when you're winning bot lane, you just play safe and let your bot lane carry. But they would try to walk up, get support roamed on when it's the only play the enemy had, when you could just sit back and let your bot lane carry. And I want to see them be able to respect general roams if a lane is playing well. All they had to do was just wait a wave, let their bot lane carry with their CS lead and plate difference, because very clearly to me, the mid-jungle support did not have good enough communication in this.
Yeah, I mean, the communication's been something that we've talked quite a lot about today, where, we've hit on, in both the Verdant and Native game, it felt like Ruddy and Nord were just not on the same page. We're not playing the communication game right. And I'd like to see some teams who are both making, relatively intelligent calls go toe-to-toe versus each other, because I feel right now it's been one team, panically looking for something and then not being able to decide on what the game plan is versus a team who have a very clear idea of what they're doing. I think in this case, both teams are relatively similar in the way that they're going to want to function and run these fights and stuff and play the game out. Obviously, the Darius is your kind of wild card in this situation, and maybe we do see some of the jungle attention actually go, you know what, that's just going to be a farming bot lane. As long as our bot lane know to just play safe and catch waves, we can maybe look to put some attention into this Darius. He gets a couple of kills up there, and suddenly the bot side of the map kind of just becomes not irrelevant, but like you have to start paying attention to your Ornn lane, and then that opens up an opportunity to get a gank in the bot side, because suddenly you've got Ute has to sit topside with Molto to make sure he's not just going to get dove again.
That player fact. Oh my goodness. Okay. That is one for the ages.
My word.
Did you see Chimera's attempt to cook eggs on Twitter?
No,
That is one that you should not go and find. Anyone in the chat, you should not go and find Chimera's attempt to cook eggs. It is absolutely vile. Anyway, looking at some trades mid lane, a big reason why Nico is incredibly broken right now is just the Q. The Q is phenomenal. It's such a low cooldown, and you can see when he uses it, it's just incredibly low. 7 seconds, and you just spam and get prio. And I believe Nico gets prio in every single lane. Like, legitimately, every single lane. She's like the #1 ranked mid laner in every single stat website you can find, because it's so oppressive, right? And of course, Harbor's holding the stun, and I believe he started shield, so he's going to lose prio, but this is the reality of every single matchup.
Well, right now, actually does look like Blink and Chimera do have the pressure in the lane right now, so they will just be just holding Liam Cole and Garfield away from the wave.
Brilliant names. Brilliant names. And you can see that both they're playing safe. Vanir's bot lane's playing safe because they are being pathed towards, whilst their jungler is pathing towards topside, right? And they just don't want to like risk giving over any kind of lead, potentially from an early ganking Jarvan. You see that Ute actually, I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, is actually looking for an invade here. I don't think they saw where he started, so this is gonna be a lot of wasted time. You can see he didn't full clear. He's going to walk around and find nothing. This is actually kind of brutal for him. And Pipibat is actually going to be very far ahead in terms of the clear and be able to clear next as well. I think they're just finally realizing. You see, he tried to do this because he had prio in the bot side, both bot lane and mid lane adjacent priorities. But now he just has to go tail between his legs and go back to his Raptors.
I mean, I guess the best case scenario, the optimistic case, is they get information.
Yeah.
But that's about it. That's about it. And it's not like Pipibat can actually really do much on the top side of the map because Kitano heavily shoved in, so you're not going to go for a dive onto Molto. They do place down and get some vision on where some jungle camps are, so Pipibat actually may go for an invade here if he feels comfortable to do so, and may actually pull a little bit further ahead of you on the response for that kind of scouting expedition that didn't pay off.
So they have found vision, which you're completely correct. Look at all that vision down bot side. Maybe they can invade second rotation jungle camps, but it is a very common thing to try and invade a Wukong, right? Wukong is incredibly susceptible to ganks due to priorities early, and he's a champion that he's a very scaling focused champion, right? He wants to be able to get to Divine Sunder as soon as possible, so disrupting his clear early is the utmost priority, which is what we saw Ute try to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. He gets his full clear off his first full clear, and maybe now the productivity we could see is an invade onto his bot side, but it does look like Ute is just going back to his respawning camps.
Yeah, does look like for now though, Molto, this is a rough lane for him. I probably had the expectation that this was going to be rough, and that has definitely been the case. Just trying to catch as much of the wave underneath the tower as possible. If he does step up though, he could be in apprehend range, and Kitano could maybe find, maybe not a kill, but at least a summon a spell out from Molto if that happens.
Yeah. So, he's blind picking Ornn, right? You have your blind pick top lane tanks, and this is just one of them. And the reality is, no matter what you ban, if the enemy plays Darius, if the enemy plays Gwen, you're going to have a rough time. I think Darius is a rough one. I think Darius is incredibly underrated as a top laner. The unfortunate thing is he's hard to pilot in team fights, but he is so good versus heavy melee compositions. And, Jarvan and Ornn topside, there's definitely potential there, especially come Dragon. Even if he isn't accelerated, I think it's a very good pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for now, it's a bit of a farm fest, Kitano. Not overstepping his bound and trying to throw the lead. He knows that eventually he will just have full control of this lane, and Molto is going to have to constantly have you around in the area. As Harbo, though, on the other side, he's having a rough time. You're right about the Nico. It's pretty rough. It's pretty unbeatable. And
I think
they are looking for a
ahead.
hook, but it's not going to happen.
I think the thing is, Harbo yesterday was also having issues. I believe he got solo killed at 6, not solo kill, but 2v2 killed because he didn't take cleanse into a Lissandra, which was, in my opinion, a little bit illegal. Maybe he has his own reasoning, but it does look like they take the dragon by using the information that Wukong wouldn't be there because he has to clear up the top side. And I had a point I wanted to make, but it's gone. So take it away, Hipbrain.
You can't cleanse Lissandra R, though. It's only the W you can cleanse, right?
I believe you can cleanse Lissandra R because the whole
It's
point
a suppression, isn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure you can because I've heard a lot of mid lane talks saying you can't walk past halfway point in mid lane without cleanse. Right?
Okay.
So the assumption is
Maybe it's not a suppression. Maybe I'm an idiot. No, it's got to be a stun. I'm going to double check. I need to check.
Classic.
No, it's a stun. It is a stun. You are correct.
Yeah.
So you can cleanse it.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I thought it was a suppression. Weirdly. It's a very weird thing because it's a suppression and...
It kind of feels like one. I see what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's why. I think it's because the length of it makes it feel like a suppression. I mean, stun and suppress is basically the same. Let's be real. Like, I actually don't know what the mechanical difference is other than just the terminology and what spells count as them.
Yeah, and you can't cleanse them, right? You can't cleanse
that's the only real difference between a stun and a cleanse, right? But I feel like suppression normally lasts longer than stun, like Warwick R and stuff.
And Skarner?
Malzahar, Skarner, Warwick. Who else suppresses? Are they the only 3?
I think it might be the only 3. I'm sure we're forgetting one, and everyone's just screaming at
old
us.
Urgot, that was a suppression.
Yeah, don't remind me of that. That was horrendous. Actually, it still is a suppression, by the way. No? Oh, no. You can orange eat out of it.
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
we're going off on tangents.
Wait, you can... Wait.
You can eat
You're talking about
of,
GP, though, right?
Yeah, you can orange eat out of suppressions as well, yeah. So I
yeah,
don't know why
he can cleanse anything with his Z, with his W even.
Yeah.
He's the barrels, homie. We are going so off topic. Liam Cole may find himself in danger, but lovely Gravitum just to kind of threaten Chimera away. Gets the flamethrower out, clears through the wave, and under any real pressure here at all.
Yeah, this is a much better early game, by the way. By this time yesterday, Fourth Wall was having a real amount of trouble. They were just really far behind, kept dying mid lane. I believe yesterday Ericsson. Oh, it's still Ericsson. Okay. So I've completely glazed over the fact. I was told that he wouldn't be playing today. So he's improved today because he was just dying to support roams where the support was just walking over wards and he would die anyway. So much better gameplay from them today. It really begs the question, are Vanir better than their competition yesterday? Or are they playing better today? We only have a 1-game sample size, right? But it does look like you just started this Rifteld, decides he doesn't want to do it because the support roams were coming up and the level 6s are there. Maybe restarts it here, though.
Well, Harbo hasn't actually got the charge on the stun lined up, so it's just going to quickly throw down some spells and reform some threat as Garfield not able to hit the Q onto Chimera, and it does just look like Vanir maybe a little bit too slow to the punch on this Rifteld and may just have to give it up, although he did that. Coming over the wall, has got the Q smite available. He's able to steal it away. Locked down. First blood for Ericsson, but a denial on the Rift Herald.
And they've got to walk around and protect it, right? They can't let anyone go and get it. I think it doesn't last that long by now. I think it's 40 seconds, maybe less. That might be the old timer. It might last even less time now. So they just have to protect it for a little bit. And yeah, they've denied Rift Herald from Vanir. Really good stuff.
Lovely little pick there, actually. Been a much slower, much calmer early game than our last 2 games. We are 9 minutes in. I mean, if this is our first game, we are 9 minutes away from winning the game. If that was our previous game. Our first game, sorry.
Yeah.
It's
a brutal matchup. This champion... This champion just has no counter picks. I'm going to be real with you. This champion needs mechanics removed. It needs nerfs. Is incredibly strong. I mean, there's so many weird interactions. There's been a lot of complaints. I think Kitano might be bursted out here. He can be bursted down from 60%.
Oh, does try to play the interrupt. Gets the heal for the Q. No, he doesn't line it up properly. Ghosting away. Flashes out. Kitano. A massive misplay from him, but is somehow able to limp away from that fight.
Really nice play from Malto because he walks inside of the blade from the Darius, denying that heal. Unfortunately, the Ghost manages to get him out of range of the flash Q. I think maybe there's a way Malto could have played it better, but Kitano is just under no threat now because Malto cannot go into tower. He gets immediate aggro from that Balmy Cinder. And I think Kitano's just going to get a reset here, although he does not have TP, right? The lack of TP here means this recall will be very awkward. And if anyone was around, he would get dived. So I think it's a bit greedy. He doesn't know where anyone is, potentially. And this would be a free kill onto him under tower. Still, not going to be punished. Going to get his, going to stay under tower. He has the Doran shield for sustain. And looks like the attention is going to go down to here for this dragon.
Yeah, looks like he's going to be A-OK. Molto doesn't have teleport either, so this dragon will just be a 4v4 if the teams decide to scrap over it. I think, yeah, Ericsson's had pressure on Harbo, but Harbo's fresh off a base. Does have himself the Tibbers ready to go. So this could be a little bit scary. They're going to throw everything down, trying to line it up, looking for the Tipper stun, is able to connect it. Dragon hasn't been secured yet, but Ute does fall as fourth wall crumbling here in this fight. Vanir able to find themselves a little bit of an opening as fourth wall trying to turn it around, dodging away narrowly on the hook. And Vanir, they get themselves the kill, but the rest of the team are just a little bit too low to see if they can keep this fight going any further.
Yeah, and that was so close to being a set of chain kills with Jinx getting excited, but everyone walks out on a sliver of HP for the side of Vanir, so really good stuff from Vanir, going 1 for 0 on the kills. Ericsson managing to find a really nice ultimate with that flank using the invisibility, but it just isn't enough, right? It just absolutely is not enough, and in the end, no one takes the dragon, I believe, I can't tell because the pings are on top of it, but yeah, it doesn't look like it. Yeah. And yeah, the big thing there was Blink not managing to get that reset, so he just couldn't run down anyone. Yeah,
absolutely. I think Harbo saved his life by throwing down that Tibbers as well, getting the two-man stun onto Chimera and Ericsson. Does mean that he was able to just still survive a little bit longer. Dragon is still going to get picked up here by fourth wall, though, as Chimera can hop over the wall, nice and safe. It's just going to be that pick, and it's been a very, very slow start to the game. I did have that prediction that maybe we'd see PP try and play a little bit towards that top side, but he has just let Kitano just play this lane completely 1 versus 1. And he has accrued himself a slight lead. I don't know if he's been able to pick any plates up. Molto has been able to pick a plate up.
Yeah, I think Molto's actually getting the best of him here, because you say he's not being played for, but he got draft resources, right? That is a way you can play for your top laner, because you give them a winning lane, leave them in isolation. You know, that's a good thing, right? But unfortunately, I think Molto is actually getting the better of Kitano, because he's gotten plate in isolation. You know, he's managed to make a 20 CS lead in the Ornn versus Darius matchup. It's just really, really solid gameplay. But speaking about Darius, I want to highlight how he'll approach mid game, because he does not have teleport, right? What's going to probably have to happen is the Darius Kitano is going to have to play a lot like Adam does in the LEC, where he has to try and predict when fights will be and just permanently group, dropping sideways. And that's somewhere that fourth wall could potentially attack, you know, just play for side lane, but they don't really have a side laner. So this is kind of the best case scenario for Vanir. Kitano will just end up perma-grouping with the Ghost, because he'll never be able to TP over because he doesn't have it. You could put Harbo in the side lane, but still, you want him to kind of be there for the snap engage with the Wukong. That's prediction on how the mid game will play out for Kitano. He needs to permanently group here.
Well, for right now, it is just catching wave, catching gold.
Yep.
Stormrazor finished up onto Liam Cole. Blink has got himself the Kraken Slayer Proto Belt onto Ericsson. No item for Harbo, but Harbo did early detour into the Sork boots. And oh my word. Just
that
loses
gimmick.
Almost 50% of his HP. That's like a 45% HP loss immediately from a single E. It's Nico's so unintuitive, right? Because you're trained to dodge, like aim skill shots around the minions so you don't hit them, but like the more minions you hit with the E, the longer the CC lasts. So it's really weird. It's horrible. Can't hide behind your minions.
The ECC can last up to 3 seconds, which is absolutely bonkers, right? Or maybe I'm misremembering, but it's really nuts. But still, you know, one lapse in focus where you don't count the minion waves, where, you know, suddenly there's 4 melee minions instead of 3, and you just don't realize because it's been 15 minutes of gameplay without that happening. And suddenly you're half HP and you forced a recall, and that just dictates everything. Suddenly now Nico gets the push, and you could play for bot lane turret because AD carry role, Liam Cole had to go mid lane, shift to mid to cover mid lane. Now you could see that Vanir have to do this Rift Herald whilst getting cross-mapped on, because Jinx is going to take first turret. So just how this is a really good example of how one little pick, because of one little new Nico mechanic of becoming a minion, can transform into a lot more.
Really, really rough for them. As at least for Vanir, they are going to be quite happily to pick up this Rift Herald. The problem is they're trading mid tier 1 and bot tier 1.
Yeah,
for
it's
this,
not worth it.
And there's no answer. They were making sure that was a free Herald, Kitano was there. It felt like that was probably enough just to hold and get trade for the Herald, but now they're going to have to use his Herald pretty actively here in this mid lane while not too many people are in the area. Ericsson is disguised right now as Chimera. This is a fair amount of HP, a little deceptive there. They do get the ultimate out. Pipibo going to force to use that Cyclone nice and early. It's actually Molto's losing a lot of HP here. He's turning out to the igniting. Cole finds the kill. In comes Ericsson with the lockdown. Pipibo's able to just about slide away from that action. And they trade it out 2 for none. Rocket comes in from downtown, doesn't hit the mark. Vanir, impressive stuff.
I'm really confused.
Oh, Ericsson! Zopwatch, can they actually lock him in place? Harbo's going to try and look for the lockdown, unable to get it, and Garfield loses his life.
I'm really confused because what happened to Molto here? He's down 50 CS suddenly. In that fight, he had stopwatch. He's had stopwatch the entire game because he has magical stopwatch, the rune. So it was definitely enabled by 16 minutes. He just, I guess he didn't expect the sniper into the shurikens to actually finish him off, so he didn't want to use it, or maybe he just thinks that he should save it for third dragon, but he definitely could have survived there. I don't think he expected to get burst out so hard, right? Does look like he'll collect top wave and then move down to this dragon. You could definitely smell a 5v5 happening right here. Blink picks up this red buff. I want to see them all move together now, get priority mid lane, and then shift down into the river to set up the vision. Oh, he's transferred to the minion.
Oh, has he? He's a minion.
Yeah, you can see on the map.
Oh, Ericsson! He's stepping forward. They know it's a ruse. I love it when one of the minions just breaks formation and starts like waddling towards you, like
it stops being a minion. Oh my goodness, very funny.
I need to play some Nico actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ridiculous champion.
See now, moving in. Fourth will have set up this vision control in the river, and they do have a lot of snap engage, so there's a lot of respect around this lack of vision for the side of Vanir, but Fourth will might be dropping this vision to catch mid-wave. Doesn't look like it. Vanir have to move all the way around there. Aphelios is too far away. Liam Cole can't hit even if they engage now, so might be a fourth wall dragon, assuming that Vanir can't make it in time. It's cancelled!
Oh, do you get the cancel? PP has to flash over the wall, but that does force out both the Chimera ultimate and the ignite from him, so a bit more space to work with. The problem they've got is in the jump, PP actually gets himself off into the fight. Massive ultimate coming out from Liam Cole there with a Moonlight Vigil. Health bars low across the board as Blink gets excited. Picks up one, answering it back out as he continues to be excited. Double kill onto him. Doesn't really have the team or the damage to keep the damage up though. So Vanir should have the pressure to be able to take this. Blink not feeling comfortable to fight any further beyond that point. And we saw elements of what this Jinx may be able to do. Might just be looking for that zap steal, but with Garfield in the area, dodging away, not going to get the steal down. And actually Garfield losing a lot of HP, brings Liam Cole over the wall, and Blink decides to leave.
Yeah. And what we saw there was a really good flank from Pipiback coming over. I don't know if he took the blast cone. I think he engaged with W, actually, but there's a TP. They're late on the recall.
Yeah, they are looking for this fight. Instantly into the hook. Garfield, low HP. Ericsson able to find that kill. Liam Cole now, low on mana, has got the team coming in on the area, puts down the turret. Should just be able to wiggle his way out of that one. Not before taking a lot of damage off of Ericsson there. They get the lockdown, they get the stun. Ericsson's picked up, and Liam Cole with the sniper has the range to work with. In comes that stopwatch we talked about a little bit earlier, but he's so low on mana, it's really hard for Liam Cole to navigate this fight. Kitano is in the area to make sure that these two are able to leave. And Vanir getting the dragon, but also getting a couple of kills on the way out.
Yeah, and the fight doesn't continue going because Darius doesn't have Ghost, so essentially they just have to walk away, but still, that was the best case scenario for Vanera. I thought that was going to turn into a long chase, and Harbo and Liam Cole dying as well, but Liam Cole manages to get out, turn this into an escape. Harbo does die. I think these fights are a bit sketchy from Harbo, but still, it's okay. But again, going back to that dragon fight, one thing I want to highlight, which people probably didn't notice, was Molto actually made that fight a lot better than it could have been. He managed to ulti single target. Yes, it wasn't a 5-man ulti, but he managed to ult Harbo to slow him down from being able to ult the carries, and that was really, really crucial. But still, Vanir's ability to buy enough space with that Wukong flank, with Tibbers, with everything else to allow Liam Cole to hit was what won the fight in the end.
Yeah, really nicely played there, actually, by Vanir off the back of that one. As for now, is just a continuation of the waiting game between these teams. waiting for Liam Cole to get back on the map. Now with the Gale Force in tow. Same though for Blink. Both of these AD carries are in relatively strong positions. I think the good news right now for Fourth Wall is the Darius hasn't actually taken over the game. He has got himself a 50 CS lead over Molto, but they're the same level. Molto's still able to be of impact in team fights as well. And it's not like the Darius is just pressing ghosts and running through the whole team. It's not like he's being a menace in the side lanes. Gitano is strong and ahead, but not steering the tempo of this game at all.
I mean, all we've seen is Vanir start the fights, right? We've only ever seen Vanir start the fights. We haven't seen a Jarvanel into an equal proactively. The fights always have to be reactive. So what I want to see is from Fourth Wall, because they are in a losing position right now, in my opinion. The carries are just way more fed on the side of Vanir. I want to see a proactive engage from the side of Fourth Wall, not reactive. Secure that Jinx reset with your combo of Jarvan into a Nico ulti and an Ornn ulti. Cast those spells first, and then maybe they can win the fight.
Vanir have control of the Baron River right now, just putting some wards down. A couple of ones over that wall for them to deal with. Pipibat actually coming in, looking for Blink. The traps go down immediately out. No way they're going to be able to find an opening as Chimera is on the wrong side, but can just jump the wall as such. And he's going to be out A-OK. Fourth Wall playing it slow. I think Vanir are very much aware that if they do decide to try a Baron, they will get blown up. Like, Ericsson can jump in. He can get a big ultimate down. Molto's ultimate is obviously super impactful and useful as well. Makes life very hard as to just get a little bit of damage off onto Kitano there with the lockdown from the Nico E.
And this is what I meant, right? This is what I meant. Everyone in this game doesn't want to side. Nobody wants to side lane. Now Darius is going because he absolutely has to. That wave is massive. But most of the time, what he wants to do is just sit mid in case a fight pops out. Because if he ever shows bot lane, the trigger is so easily pulled. The Ornn ulti from 2k range can instantly start a fight. And then you just have a Darius who's walking between bot and mid lane. And you just can't handle it, right? Little picks going down. And then you could see Darius is down bot side. And this buys time for Fourth Wall to get vision around this Baron. Again, the weakness of not having teleport is really shining through here. Maybe they can even start out this Baron because there is no teleport for the Darius. Harbo.
Oh, he actually finds the lockdown onto Ericsson, gets him pinned in place. The Protobell comes out, the stopwatch to make sure he doesn't take any damage. The rocket goes a little bit wide. Harbo now needs to get away, flashes out, gets caught in the pit for the moment. Lantern to safety. There's so much peel available to them as Pipibat able to spin around both mid laners, limping out of that fight. But the flash was used there by Harbo, which is a big difference maker as Kitano gets a bit of free time on this mid lane.
I think it is incredibly risky to do what Harbo did because his Darius was bot side without TP. If he died there, that was a Baron angle for the side of Fourth Wall. So I would much rather he didn't take those kinds of risks. Yes, he had stopwatch. Yes, he didn't work out in the end, but the risk is definitely not worth the reward when your Darius is bot side with no teleport. So now, no tools for the side of Fourth Wall. No ultis for Ornn, which is an incredibly long cooldown. Jarvan, Nico, absolutely nothing. So maybe they tried to cross map onto the Baron instead. It would be the obvious call, but it's so obvious that I imagine Vanir are going to see right through it. And see, you can see they're already moving up. There's no way they do enough DPS to do this.
Yeah, Harbo has the scry as well, so he does know when it's going on. It's just lingering in the area. Dragon secured for Vanir. That's going to be their second. And right now, Fourth Wall maybe scratching their heads a little bit. The game does start to feel like it's slipping ever so slightly in Vanir's favor. Just with the items that are starting to come in, the damage is starting to kind of spike here.
Yep.
They do have the added benefit of Blink basically being half an item up on Liam Cole, just due to the fact he's got the Typhoon upgrade from Molto.
How do you remember that? Oh my goodness.
They don't have a Kraken Slayer anymore, but it used to be Wormfallen Sacrifice. Which was a really weird name, actually.
Some of the names are really cool, by the way. Legitimately, really, really. Like, Shrieks of the Crying City is like my favorite, or whatever.
Wait, which
the
one's
name
that?
Is. I don't remember. I don't remember. Some of them are really cool, though. That is definitely one of them. Regardless, we're going to continue seeing more grouping for sure. I really need Fourth Wall to do something, proactive. I haven't seen Ute do anything at all, and this is really cementing my opinion that Vanir are a really good team fighting team. I don't think Harbour is the strongest laner, right? I don't think he's the strongest laner in the world, but when it comes to team fighting, this team is really pulling the weight. This is exactly what happened yesterday. They lost early game. I remember bot lane going down 30 CS, losing a plate, but despite that, they would come back in team fights somehow, and That's a really good look. Team fighting is incredibly hard, especially for new teams to pull together. You can always get better at laning. So Baron started up. They're quite far away.
This might just be gone. They're going to have to lantern in.
Pippi is not checking it. He's clearing a ward.
He's going for the hook. They're going to lose the Baron. That was way too slow. Chimera just bought some time as well. Vanir were not in the same bat as Pippi Bat. Slides in. Kinino gets into the middle of the fight. The health bar is going very low, but Ericsson! What an ultimate! An opening has been gifted to fourth wall, and they come in with a punishment. Harbo, too slow on the teleport, but the Darius quadra kill coming in. The ghost is on. The flash out by Molto. How did that fight turn around?
So the entire fight was just, it looked so good for fourth wall, but all of a sudden you just had this Darius stacking passively. I don't think anyone expected that. I didn't see it coming. All of a sudden he has 4 stacks on everyone. He's just one-shotting, doing 2k damage with a single auto attack into an ult. Gosh, I wish we had a replay for that because it was phenomenal. Kitano single-handedly coming back and saving this game.
That went from like, oh no, we've made a mistake and given an opening, to, oh, don't worry, Darius is now fed. 5-1 to Kitano. Third item finished up there. Got the Death Dance, Hysterics, and the Stride Breaker under his belt. And Baron is only on Molto. So, yeah, Molto's probably going to want to be grouping with a team, but it doesn't mean they can have that kind of multi-pronged Baron attack where you can pressure multiple different places. So, that's rough. That's real rough right now for fourth wall. Let's see if they can use this Baron as effectively as you can when you can only place it in one lane.
And it looked like such a good team fight from the side of fourth wall. But the lack of DPS really shines through into the fed Darius. He has Stare Exchange now, Death Stance. He's going to be so hard to kill unless it's Blink hitting. If Blink ever dies this game, by the way, Darius is going to Penta. They have no other DPS in any other role. Darius can shrug off any damage from Java, Nico, and Ornn and just drain tank them to death. So it's all about Blink. Can Vanir get onto Blink? And can fourth wall peel and make enough space for Blink to hit and secure his resets?
That's going to be the real question. Ericsson with the upgraded Proto Belt into that rocket
Where are they
belt.
going? They're getting
coming in for the teleport. They are getting flanked onto, actually. Vanir, Harbo has to flash away. Looks to put the Tibbers. Only actually connects onto one. They get the Moonlight Vigil onto a couple of members. There's PP Bats in the area. The reset's coming in from Kitano. He doesn't want to fight. He's not in a position to do so. And with the Baron, that's going to potentially be an inhibitor turret as well as Liam Cole first back into the base. They have lost their wave. So it does buy a little bit of time. Garfield's still down for 20 seconds. Kitano now is here. Ghost not up and available. They may just lose an inhibitor here. They won't lose much more off the back of this. I don't think they got the waves for it. But Vanir, just a mistake.
Yeah, it did look good for Vanir, but I guess they disrespected the TP flank in the middle of the lane. And suddenly they realized, wait, there's numbers disadvantage. And once again, the weakness of not having teleport on your top laner. Yes, you have better team fights, and we saw that already. But these plays with the teleports, you just can't match them. So you will have to permanently group with the Darius again to preemptively see these. Now Dragon spawning, and will we see a Nico play? There's 2 Ornns. Oh, unfortunately, Ornn used his Q to give it away which one's which. So he's turned it to Jarvan. To see.
Well, it is that waiting game, waiting for the Dragon to get started by one of these teams.
Harbo
Harbo may find himself caught out by Chimera, tries to jump away. PP back gets the knock up onto 2 members. Ericsson locks down just the one. Liam Cole's damage is huge, it's phenomenal. Chimera pinned in place as there's already kills being traded back and forth. Kitano though, 1 dunk, able to secure it. Can he chase onto Molto? Ghost is not procced as Ericsson looks to pin Harbo down. Harbo finds Ericsson, though. Accidentally pops the clone the wrong one. The Dragon will be secured by the side of Vanir as Harbo just dodging away on every ability thrown his way. Sped himself up with the E as Harbo keeps getting baited a little bit by these by the clones. He can't just step back, so does just decide it's time to leave.
It's just, you see, the second Blink falls, the fight's entirely over. Kitano cannot die, and once again, he just gets to free stack his passive and just run down the rest of the team towards the end of it. You could see at the start, right? Unfortunately, we don't have replays again, but Ute was just on a completely different page to the rest of his team. He engaged over the wall away from his team and just he tried to stop Pipibat's flank, but he completely whiffs. And then he's just in Narnia when his whole team's trying to survive a Wukong engage. So You really, really misplaying there, and I don't think there was a clear call on how to approach the flanks. Definitely, if I was fourth wall going into future games, look at how do we approach these flanks, guys? Who goes to mark the flanker? Potentially, we need more vision around these flanks. How do we maintain a formation that disallows the flanks of the Wukong from coming in? It's definitely a massive weakness that I've seen multiple times this game. People that's managed to find flanks, and fourth wall really need to deal with it better.
Yeah, they really do. That is a bit of a rough one on that front.
Oh, he has GA. Oh,
okay, so that Darius is like full-on unkillable at this point. Worth 1,000 gold, but like they have to kill his team and then him, and I don't even know if that's gonna happen. Like I don't even know if they can kill him because they're gonna have to burn so much to kill the team first. The Kitano probably will be pretty hard to take down. They do have, you know, the 4th item on the way for the Jinx, but Kitano, he's just got sped up by the Annie, charges towards the side of 4th wall, and they just have to back away.
Yeah, he's just so tanky, right? It really doesn't matter, and they have to play so respectfully because if one person gets hooked, the entire fight has to start, right? And they can't find these engages that they really want to, but now what I want to see is some good front-to-back team fighting. I don't think they can play to dive backline because if they abandon Blink, the fight's just over.
You on the flank.
Kitano
has actually lost a fair amount of HP here. Chimera's trying to catch him up. The Ghost comes in. The double apprehend. Gets a bit of healing off immediately. Stride breaker down onto Blink. Means he can't move. Utes pinning everyone in place. Ericsson's able to find the pop. 2 members down. And suddenly, 4th will have found himself an option, an opening to get into this fight. Kitano is going to fall. The Lantern will not save his life.
Game.
Blink is excited. Zap slows onto Harbo as they continue to pressure forward. Hook comes in with the interrupt. Molto playing just that frontline nuisance as Garfield needs to get some health back. Same for Harbo. This is probably just game though. Molto once again hooked, trying to chase forward, but Harbo's out of mana, out of opportunities to get himself in this. The rocket's not enough to find the kill, but Blink is excited. Harbo has nowhere to go as Blink can just gatekeep him from getting back to base. The Nexus crumbles and 4th wall smash down Vanir's walls and make it in for their first win of the split.
And I think a bit